Hello YouTube and welcome to Heathen Hacks. This is the phone I bought 5 years ago. It's one of Samsung's mid-tier smartphones back then. Due to its age and normal wear and tear, it's now showing this white line or streak that goes from the top to the bottom of the screen, and obviously, that's not good. I'm certain that it's a hardware failure because the line is not present on screenshots or screen recordings and is still visible even after reformatting the device. Quite disappointed because despite taking really good care of it, this still happened. It is what it is, as they say. On the bright side, this is a good opportunity for me to do some smartphone repair. Not sure if this is refurbished or brand new, most likely refurbished, but today we're going to replace the LCD screen with this one. Let's go! First thing to do is to remove the back cover, and to do that, we're going to use the heat gun on my Yihua A71 soldering and hot air rework station to loosen the adhesive. Click right here if you want to check it out, by the way. And to keep track of the temperature, we're going to use this infrared thermometer. Then, once the desired temperature has been reached, we're going to use this prying tool to remove it. Alright, let me wear some gloves first. Okay, let's turn on the heat gun, set it to 250 degrees Celsius. Then just heat it up like this while checking the temperature from time to time. Now that the desired temperature of 60 to 70 degrees Celsius has been reached, let's pry off the back cover using this prying tool, starting with the blade looking one and moving on to the spudger. And there we go. So apparently the back of it looks like this. Interesting. Next up, to have access to the logic board and other components, we have to remove a total of 13 screws located on these spots. And for that, we're going to use my Oreo 142-in-1 Tech Toolkit again. Click right here to check it out, by the way. We're going to need the 3/0 size Phillips head to remove them. Then, put the screws on this magnetic parts tray because we're going to have a hard time finding them if one falls into the void called the floor. And since I'm not sure if they have the same sizes or not, I'm also going to arrange them like how they are placed on the LCD frame, kind of like this. Some screws are a bit hard to take off, so I'm going to use my handy dandy neodymium magnet on a stick. And for the harder to get ones, I'm going to use this tweezer. After that, let's remove the SIM card tray followed by the mid frame. Why did it turn on though? Let me just turn this off. This right here is one of the reasons why I'm hesitating on buying a new phone and have selected to just fix it for now. You see, this one has expandable storage. The phone's onboard storage is just 128GB. I've added a 256GB SD card to make the total storage give or take 350GB. Now, one can argue that 512GB or even 1TB of onboard storage on newer phones also exist, and I agree with you. But in order for you to get that amount of storage, you'd have to dish out more even if all the other specs of the device would stay the same. As an example, if we take a look at this Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, the base version, which has 256GB of onboard storage, costs around 1.3k USD. And if you want to get the 512GB version, you'd have to add around 120 USD or around 360 USD if you want the 1TB version. It's not that I can't afford it, but I honestly would rather just upgrade my PC than buy a phone in that price range. On another note, despite my phone not being eligible for receiving Android updates anymore and it having a broken screen, it's still working as expected. I also have the tools needed, so might as well just replace the screen for the experience and wait for it to go bust before I buy a new one, because replacing the screen is way cheaper, and I know it's inevitable, but I neither want nor need a lot of AI on my phone. Upon successful insertion... Hold up, why did it turn on again? Let's turn it off before fully removing the mid-frame. There we go. This is the mid-frame. Let's put this one aside. Now it's time for us to remove the components. Starting by disconnecting the battery from the logic board, followed by this flex cable that connects the main board to the subboard that contains the charging module, microphone, headphone jack, and fingerprint optical sensor using a spudger. Since the battery is definitely attached to the LCD frame via some sort of adhesive, instead of using my heat gun and potentially damage it in the process, I'm going to use 99.9% isopropyl alcohol to dissolve the adhesive instead by slightly flooding the underside of the battery like this. After that, let's gently and slowly pry it off on all sides like so. And there we have it. After the successful removal of the battery, let's clean it up as best we can to remove the leftover adhesive, because we're also going to use an adhesive tape to attach it to the new LCD frame. After that, let's clean up the desk a little as well. Then, disconnect and remove the remaining components one by one. Starting with the antenna cable, followed by the front camera, remove the screw, then the logic board. Remove the vibration motor gently, followed by the earpiece. Next, let's remove these two screws that are holding the fingerprint optical sensor. Disconnect this flex cable that is connecting the subboard and the LCD frame. Pry the board off gently, then remove it together with the antenna cable. This is the replacement LCD screen and frame that we're going to use. Most probably a refurbished one, but as long as it would work and last long, I don't really care. Before we transfer the components to the replacement LCD and frame, let's remove these silver colored mesh looking things first and include them with the transfer because I think there's some sort of cooling or thermal pads. I'll be back later.
A few moments later.
Now that we're done transferring the cooling or thermal pad looking things, let's transfer the main logic board to the replacement LCD screen and frame first, then fasten it. After transferring the top half components, let's proceed on doing the same to the subboard after some quick air blowing. Line it up, reattach the screws, connect the flex cable, route the antenna cable to this groove or space, then connect it to the main logic board.
Wait a minute. That's not right.
This is for this one, and this one for this one. To attach the battery, we're going to use a 0.05mm thin double-sided tape. I bought a reel of it despite how little I would need because, well, that's the only one available. Before we attach it, let's put this thing right here, then add some double-sided tape to the battery first, just like this. Let's clean up the battery compartment a little bit by blowing some air and wiping it with some alcohol. Alright, let's put the battery right here, then add some weight to it by gently pushing it down for the double-sided tape to make proper contact. Connect the battery to the logic board, blow some air again, connect the main flex cable, and before attaching the mid-frame, let's remove the remnants of the previous adhesive that are still attached to it using this wiping cloth and some alcohol. I think this is going to take a bit longer than I expected, so I'll be back later.
A few moments.
After removing as much previous adhesive as we can, let's go ahead and reattach the mid-frame. We'll note that it's properly attached when it makes a clicking sound like this. Now let's add the screws back. Then, prior to reattaching the back cover, let's see if the LCD screen is working first. There we go! Perfect! Let's just wait for it to load, then turn it off. Before we attach the back cover, just like with the mid-frame, we first have to remove as much adhesive residue as we can, because the new adhesive would not properly adhere to it if you don't. After that, we're going to use this thing by basically just putting some of it around the frame. Let's proceed with the cleaning by using this cleaning cloth and some alcohol. And just like earlier, I have underestimated the time I would need to clean it, so I'll be back later.
A few.
Now that that's done, let's add some adhesive. Blow some air to the camera and cover, reattach the back cover, add some clamps, then wait for the adhesive to cure. This is the old LCD screen, by the way. I figured I'd keep it just in case. It's been 3 hours since I put this one at the top of my PC case to help with the curing process. But, just to be sure, I'm going to leave it there for a few more hours. The adhesive on this has been curing for about 8 hours now, and I think it's about time to check if it's already done. After some spot checks, it looks like it's done, so let's put the SIM card tray back. Turn it on, wait for it to load, do some basic tests such as checking for dead pixels or color irregularities. Seems like all is good with the screen. Now let's check if the camera is still working. Let's take a picture, video, and a macro shot. Let's try the flash. Flash is working. Let's check hardware info. Well, everything seems to be in order. Touchscreen is obviously working, so let's move on to the fingerprint sensor.
Well, that's not good.
Alright, let's remove the protective plastic and see what would happen. Still not working. I guess we have to make a new fingerprint profile. As you can see here, Touch ID or fingerprint sensor is clearly detecting my finger. So I'll just finish this up and I'll be back later. And it's working! Next, let's clean the LCD screen using some wipes and alcohol. Blow some air to remove dust, then add a screen protector. After that, let's clean up the back cover as well. And we're done. Comparing the two screens, the replacement one seems to be a bit bluish while the original one is black. But Other than that, it's pretty much the same, I think. And that's how it's done. I'm not a repair technician, but it's really easy for me because I basically just transferred the components to another LCD frame and I have the tools needed. Remember that using the right tools and having a clean workspace is necessary when doing something like this. It's okay to take things slow because some components are quite delicate and can break easily, and if you don't feel like doing it yourself, let a repair technician handle it. However, after about 2 weeks of typical usage, for some reason that's unknown to me at the moment, both the earpiece and fingerprint sensor started malfunctioning. It started with the fingerprint sensor suddenly not accepting my saved fingerprints. I thought that's understandable since I'm using a different LCD screen that may or may not be up to the spec of the sensor, so I just switched off fingerprints and relied on passwords and patterns. Then, after some time, I discovered that the earpiece also started to not work because when I received a phone call from a courier, I can't hear them speak, and the only way to hear the other side of the call was to use the phone's main speaker. When that happened, I thought that maybe it got loose or maybe have not been properly seated, so I opened the phone again, reseated every component as best I can, and was relieved that it started working again. Well, except for the fingerprint sensor. Then, a few days after that, the earpiece is not working again. That leaves me with just 3 options. First is to just deal with it and accept that my phone has 2 problems now instead of just 1. Second is to transfer all the components back to the original LCD screen and just ignore the white streak as best as I can. And the third one is to just buy a new phone. And not gonna lie, I'm leaning towards just buying a new one. Perhaps a Google Pixel so that I can install Graphene OS on it or something. The problem is, I'm conflicted because I could also use that money to upgrade my GPU. Well, I would also need a new PSU if I want to, but I have enough funds for that. So, a bit of an update. I chose none of the 3 choices. I purchased a replacement earpiece and fingerprint sensor instead, and I didn't even pay for anything because of a voucher, which is neat. However, I was only able to use the replacement earpiece because the fingerprint sensor needed to be calibrated, and I have to either go to a Samsung store or just straight up root my phone for that, which was a bit of a hassle. So I just put the OG one back, and now it's working again for some reason. Only time can tell if they or something else would break, but it has been a week since then and they're still working. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you again next week. Maybe.